This is Bl'Artagnan here, and we're returning to the Krakens because I ended up lucking into Y'shtola's burst weapon while chasing Sarah. No luck with Sarah, but I have a shiny new toy and I wanted to give it a shot. Never actually used Y'shtola before, this is my first time, so you'll see a few maybe questionable moves here and there, but I had a lot of fun using her and I'm going to look forward to trying to do a bit more with her. I seem to have this weird knack for pulling most of the utility bursts and not as many of the damage bursts that I look for. It seems that the more I want to burst, the less likely it is to show up, but I'll happily take it. So here we're using an all-support team. 3 of my favorite characters here. Probably 3 of the best supports in the game right now as well, I would argue. Not the top 3, I'd say. Aerith is pretty darn good right now, but 3 really strong choices. So with 3 supports, as you can imagine, the auras are great, the battery's fantastic, good healing. Really the only question is, will they bring enough damage? We're basically going to be relying mostly on splash damage to get this done, with no designated DPS character, DPT, whatever you want to call them. So Krile, I think, is going to be putting in a lot of work with her enchant, along with Arciela's kind of big AoE hits, and hopefully synergy will keep Y'shtola fueling more damage as well. Although again, first time using her, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. For edit support, we're also bringing the Ramza friend, so it's technically a 4 support team. So at this point, you guys know the drill with these guys. For now, the first 20% is just kind of a punch fest, and then they get the orb, try to kill you, and you have to kind of time your big heals to keep the orb going. And Y'shtola, I think we have a rem call on this team, but other than that, Y'shtola's EX is the only way we have to manage the orb. So you'll see me be a bit conservative here and there with not using it when I could, just to try to squeeze extra turns out of it. As far as the big kill you attack, I didn't bring Edge Call, didn't bring Cater Call, and the only last stand here is Y'shtola. We're going to be relying on that EX as well to revive our characters, which is an interesting little gimmick that I was excited to try. As I understand it, I don't think they've changed the scoring just yet to account for revives, but this stage is designed in such a way that so long as you meet the turn count and HP requirements and kill them, your score will be high enough that revives won't hurt it. Again, they were trying to sell Y'shtola's burst. I think they personally did a better job selling Aerith with this one, but what are you going to do? She covers an interesting blend of roles. She has a lot of what Aerith brings with the big heals and the revives, and a lot of battery, but her auras are kind of middling, and she has that delay. So, and also the new rebreaks that they gave her, I think I'm a big fan of those, just as a general kind of utility thing. I like supports with wide utility kits, even if they're not specialized. Ramza was one of my favorite supports when I pulled him back when he got his burst. For that same reason of there's the wide-ranging kit. There isn't a whole lot to talk about in terms of the gameplay here. This is the part where we, just kind of conserve skills because they've cleansed everything and we're just kind of waiting for the big hit to come. This is the part where for a moment I was trying to think, do I need to heal someone for last stand? No, wait, Y'shtola's good. So we can just go ahead and get a free turn from Medica, last stand, and then it's actually kind of weird. I didn't want Krile to be the one who goes down because of her LD buff. I wanted Arciela to be the one who goes down, and her hit points are supposed to be lower than Arciela's, so I'm not really sure why they're higher in this case. I guess because she didn't get broken or something. Luckily, Arciela is able to heal herself above Krile and, put us into exactly where we want to be. I had heard some complaints that well, here's a moment where I'm not really sure whether to use a skill there or what. You generally don't want to use her arrow attack. You prefer to wait until it's charged up to that mastery move. Otherwise, the damage is kind of sad. What was I saying? Yeah, but wanted to make sure Arciela was the one to die so that we wouldn't have to worry about Krile's L debuff running out. And I'd heard some complaints about Y'shtola being clunky, and I didn't really feel it too badly. Again, her brave attack when it's not fully charged is kind of sad, but I don't know. I've enjoyed using her so far for like the one fight I brought her to. We'll see if my tune changes as we go, but yeah. So, what do we do here? I guess we just delay. Like, the thing about Y'shtola that I'd like is that all of her buttons, rarely is a button the wrong button to press explicitly, Some buttons might be better than others, but overall they kind of work together well. A little bit nervous about that orb there, so I think we're going to bring in the Rem Call. That's a lucky miss right there, I'll take that. Oh, I spoke too soon, sorry, I misremembered. I didn't realize her EX was up, so I guess lucky. Past me was a bit more planful than current me. So yeah, we just keep on hitting them and try to keep the damage coming. Again, that's the big thing this team's going to struggle with, is dealing enough damage against these really tanky bosses. Not in terms of per hit, but with their battery they should be okay. Just a bit nervous hitting that turn count, even with Y'shtola's burst, and that was a weird break order. I didn't think it would work that way. Arciela bringing those delicious HP silences. The team has a good bit of healing on it, so we're not super worried, but I'm pretty sure if they go back to back with that move, it'd put us in a rough spot. And so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and push you over there. And see, that's what I'm saying with the wide, varied kit. It gives us a lot more wiggle room. She's covering battery, she's covering healing, covering revive, as niche as that is, and she has some turn manipulation in there, so it's a nice package. And the fact that she also brings a burst to the table, if you happen to have it, is gravy, because then you can put on teams that wouldn't normally be able to access that burst for one reason or another, or a burst anyway. Alright. I figure we're probably capping on a lot of brave stuff right now. Kind of midway through the game with a lot of good batteries, so we'll use that AA, squeeze in some extra damage. Oof, scary, scary hit. Scary hit. Now we can go ahead and just use this. Krile's LD is another case where I saw the paralysis trap and was like, that's kind of weird and niche and whatever, but it just kind of helps you manage the boss in a way that I didn't expect it to. I figured that needing to wait a turn for it to go into effect would be a pain, but we see boss turns so far in advance that now it's almost always a handy thing. Now. Probably should have used... Oh no, I'm saving the X at this point because it's we're close enough to 50% that I want to try to push them under so we can use it to do the same revive thing we did last time. And I'm not sure if I'd be able to charge her EX in time if I used it there. From an orb management perspective, it's a little bit spooky. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do about that. I end up, in this case, I do end up using it. I probably should have used it a turn sooner, but you know, the more you learn, I guess. Spread a bit of damage. Oh boy. This is an awkward spot. I wasn't really sure what I would do here. But I wanted to push up that orb. Yeah, I'm using her Brave Plus. It's pretty sad damage, so maybe I shouldn't have been doing that. I should have been more aggressive with some stones or whatever, but while they were framed like this, I didn't think it was worth it. So get that down. Now, it was Arciela. And so I figure at this point, I know normally I was hoping to have Ramza out here and kind of doing his burst thing when Y'shtola went to her burst, but that mismanagement of the orb earlier ended up costing me, so I ended up having to use it here. Before we do, though, I do want to get Krile's EX going. Hindsight, I probably should have AA'd there as well, but got nervous. Here's another instance of learning. I should have AA'd with her, with Y'shtola, before going into the burst, in order to have her Apheus Mastery, whatever, ready for her to open with. Hopefully this is as educational for you rewatching it as it is for me. I'm learning a lot just seeing how I played it. So I figure another sad attack there. I will say this is a cool animation. Certainly not sad to have pulled this burst. Now, let's see if, yeah. I'm just going to try to use the paralysis to manipulate their turns a bit, or at least to keep them from attacking us, to give us time to bring Ramza in and really clutch this out. So here's the Jack Call. As you can see, I kind of bungled the setup for using Y'shtola's burst. Didn't have the Jack Call, didn't have Krile's AA, didn't have Ramza out. So the fact that we were able to get away with it is it's heartening. It makes me really kind of appreciate that this wasn't quite as tight as it needed to, or it was tighter than it needed to be, or at least it was a more generous fight than I was worried it'd be. Now here is the Ramza. And we're safe to go into this burst before the summon because of Krile's trap, and paralysis kind of protecting us, which is great. Okay, so this break order isn't ideal, but I think we'll be able to survive it. Trying to figure out a good way to maximize that launch. probably should have Pulse of Lifed before going into the summon, but I figured I was already basically capped on Brave, so I'd just go ahead and start spamming LDs to kind of, between that and Ramza, this is going to hopefully deny them any more turns before the end of the fight. Look at those numbers, that overflow is beautiful. Yeah, with proper setup, having 3 or 4 supports on your team can still lead to some pretty spectacular things. So another case there of mistiming her EX, but I also I wanted to make the most of her burst turns if I could. It just got to the point where it was like, well, there's no real good button to press here, so maybe that's what people mean when they complain about her clunkiness. Another LD use. I appreciate these LDs where it's not, kind of like Cabranth, where it's like, you don't have to use it at the start of the fight, you kind of get to save it and use it when you want it. Caius is another good example, though he has his own issues. It just feels nice to be able to kind of have a pocket utility move that does really cool stuff like that. We're pretty close there. I think we're going to be able to seal this out before the turn count catches up to us. We're certainly going to be able to before they catch up to us, especially with the Ramu paralysis on them. Raise that Magnet Brave a bit more. And, yeah, push you back. Not the most exciting launch there, but we'll take it. Okay. Hopefully we can kill A with this. I don't know if it's going to though. No, nuts. Wanted to take advantage of the way that they don't enrage if they go into their if they're paralyzed, but it ended up working out okay. Very fun run. Triple support, quadruple support is the way to go. It's the way of the future. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. Consider giving a like, maybe hitting subscribe, and I'll see you around.